Hello everybody, today I wanted to show you 3 videos that did not make it to my YouTube channel even though I love the photos. It's mostly due to my poor videography skills and the fact that 2 out of 3 of these shoots I was filming myself and the footage was just very lackluster and I didn't think there was enough to show you as an entire video, but I thought as a mix it would be pretty interesting to show you how I've gotten the photos and so on. So before we get into this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and click the little bell button, and let's get right into the video. Psst. You all know what's coming. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in platform that will help you make your dream website, portfolio, or an online shop become a reality. Squarespace has hundreds of beautiful templates, so you will definitely find something that suits you and your personal style. You can build a professional portfolio website in a matter of hours, and you will be able to customize it every step of the way. So it's so you that nobody can deny it's not. As we all know, social media presence is power, and with Squarespace, you'll be able to auto-post all your content to Twitter, Facebook, or Tumblr with proper tags and descriptions. Finally, Squarespace helps you with the marketing. They help you with SEO, as well as some plugins for Instagram stories and so on, as well as share buttons, so your followers can give you some juicy shoutouts on their social media. If that sounds like something you'd like to try, make sure to go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And once you're ready to go, use my code squarespace.com/Anita to receive 10% off your first purchase. This first shoot here is with Elodie, and funny enough, it's actually one of my favorite shoots I've done. However, I was filming by myself on the day and the footage was just really lackluster, and there was no way I could have used it for a separate video, but I still really wanted to show you guys the photos because I really enjoyed how I took them and how I framed them and so on. So let's get right into it. Okay, so this is our look number 1. It is currently 9:34 in the morning. We're just trying to get a bit of the morning light, so it's nice and sunny. Beautiful. Oh yeah, look at the glow. Love it. For this photo shoot, I did what I usually do. I oiled up my model with some body oil as always. I usually use the olive oil spray. It works pretty good. You don't have to touch the model. It gives you really good sheen. You can always reapply and add more, so you have a lot of control on how oily your model gets, which I really love. First, we started against these nice rocks. I thought that it would look really nice with Elodie's skin tones because it was kind of matching, so I thought it would look really pretty. I also put her in this bikini that had similar earthy tones, and it just looked really nice. We went into this location relatively early in the morning. It was probably around 9 or 10 a.m. We basically wanted to try and avoid as many people as possible because the beaches here get really crowded pretty fast. And even though this location is kind of slightly hidden, it's not in the main area of Hawaii, it still gets a relative amount of traffic. So I wanted to make sure that we were going to get it as empty as possible. It was still a bit tricky for me to film because there were still plenty of people around and I didn't want to be filming in people's faces, so I was trying to be discreet. On top of that, literally 3 minutes into filming, my microphone died, so it was just a recipe for disaster. So for this particular photo shoot, I used my tropical preset pack. As you see, each pack comes with 3 variations. So you have the neutral, the darker, and the brighter. I actually really like number 3. I think it looks really good. So we're gonna go for that. We're gonna go for the 3+, which is a bit brighter. And we're just gonna adjust 1 or 2 things. We're just gonna add a bit more exposure and maybe a tiny bit more blacks into the photo. And I think that's it. I think it looks pretty good. Have a look at the before and after. It's a slight adjustment, but it does quite a lot. If you do like what you see, make sure to check out my presets there on my website, anitasadowska.eu. You can also find the discount code in the description below. Happy browsing, and I hope you like them if you buy them. For the second look, we decided to spice things up a tiny bit. We put Elodie in this purple top that she brought with her. We still kept the bikini the same, but just put on a top. And we wanted to wet it a tiny bit just to make it a bit more interesting and just kind of, you know, give it a bit of that sexy vibe, I guess. So we got her into the water. The waves were quite intense, so we just tried to make sure that she doesn't get wiped out because the water here can be quite aggressive. Not necessarily in this spot, but the waves were still quite a lot. And we just went with that. The sun was really direct. At this point it was probably like 10:30, 11 o'clock, so it was getting pretty high up in the sky, but we still got some really nice shots. I think we experimented with the poses. Elodie was great because I didn't really have to direct her a lot. She was quite free with her movement, so it definitely helps on the day when you don't have to over instruct the model and you can just go with the flow. This beach in itself is quite unique when it comes to the views because it's almost like a cove. It's a sheltered beach that you have to walk down to, and it's surrounded by rocks. And then you have this beautiful turquoise water, which I just found so gorgeous. And that's what I kind of went for my last look. I wanted to be on the rocks looking down into the water, and I have to say these were probably my favorite shots that I recently taken with anybody, so I definitely wanted to share them with you. As you see here, the biggest issue was you can't really see it on camera, but there's loads of people underneath, as you can see on my iPhone video. So I was trying to find gaps where my model would be by herself and there wouldn't be as many people. Of course, I knew that if there was people in the background, I could always Photoshop them out afterwards, but I just feel the less work you have to do in post-production, the better. So for the first few shots, we had her just sitting on the rocks and just, leaning. So I had the rocks and the blue water, but then afterwards I thought that if she sat at the very corner of the rocks and kind of crouched and just looked a bit sheltered in a way, I don't know if that's the word to describe it, I thought it would just create a very nice look. And that one particular photo I just love so much because there is so much beauty in her skin tone mixed with the color of the rocks and then the crystal clear blue water. I just thought it was so beautiful and was definitely one of my favorite shots. Yeah, we have the nice palm trees in the background. Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, it's beautiful. So for this first shoot, I had my beautiful model Sophie and we shot on the North Shore. And I won't lie, sometimes you just have days where you just don't feel yourself as a photographer. And sometimes you just take photos and it's not that you're unhappy with them, but you're just not fully happy and you don't really know why. And I feel like that was the case in this situation. There was nothing wrong on the day, the weather was okay, my model was absolutely beautiful, but I'm just not really in love with the photos. I like them, I think they are decent photos, but they are just not my favorite. So I find whenever I do photo shoots, a lot depends on what the location is like and if I dig it or not. And this particular beach that we were at was pretty open. It was in the North Shore and it's just a lot of white sand and water, which is okay, but when you take photos, sometimes it's hard to make it look interesting because you just don't have a lot of backdrop to play with, and it more kind of depends on the model. It almost ended up looking like a studio shoot. That's why for the first look, I ended up sticking to shooting around palm trees that were at the very corner of the beach. There wasn't that many of them, it's literally just a strip, but it worked for what we needed. This was backlit because we were still pretty early in the morning, so the sun was behind us. I got my model posing and I took some photos that are a bit more lower angle, some of them higher angle and so on. And that was our first look. Wanna speak so loud, even though I hide. Like I'm hypnotized, can't get out of here. For our second look, I found this hammock that I really liked and I thought would look pretty cool in photos. We did try some photos on it. The only thing I will say is a lot of the time when you have your model lying down on something like a hammock, it can be quite tricky for them to pose themselves in a way that looks flattering because it's just very hard to lie down on a surface that moves and you kind of sink into and so on. So I think Sophie did a great job actually making herself look really beautiful on the hammock because it was definitely more tricky. There was also a palm tree that was that the hammock was attached to, and we used some of it for the shots, which I really liked actually. I thought it was really cool with the blue skies in the background and just Sophie's poses. I think she was really good at, just accentuating her curves and just making the photos look way more interesting with the location. So lonely, I see you going through some things and I just wanna help. So for the last look, we decided to be a bit risky and come up closer to the water. For those of you who have been in Hawaii before, especially in the North Shore, you know that the waves here can get quite gnarly. You don't really want to be too close to them, especially with your equipment. I've been wiped out before by them. It's not fun. We got Sophie to just get herself wet just for that extra glow, and we ended up just taking photos by the shore. I didn't really get too close to the water because, as I said, the waves can get pretty strong and they can wipe you out really quickly. But I think the one shot that we got where she was nice and wet, we had a little water droplets. I think it adds a lot to a shoot when you have that natural element where the model looks like she's actually at the beach and she's, swimming and doing stuff. It's always better over, having dry hair, no oil on the skin and so on, because it just gives it that more natural feel. So this final shoot, Amber, I actually really enjoyed it, but what I didn't think of was the amount of wind that is gonna happen on this shoot. We went up this little mountain. It wasn't even a hike, it was just a tiny little climb a few minutes away. It was actually right next door to the location where I shot with Elodie, and we did not anticipate how horribly windy it's going to be. I also didn't anticipate my wardrobe, and I wore a dress, which was a horrible idea because filming it behind the scenes with a dress on in this windy condition was just a little bit of a nightmare. I think one of the reasons why this video ended up here and not on a separate reel is because it was just so horribly windy, as I mentioned. And the microphone just didn't pick up any of me speaking at all. It was literally just gusts of wind. Secondly, my poor model struggled with keeping her hair in place so badly. I felt so bad because there's nothing we could have done. We really wanted the hair to be down because I think it just looked nicer, but it was so difficult because the wind was just carrying it everywhere. Half of the shot that we did, we couldn't really use because it was just hair galore everywhere.
We're taking away, yeah, we're taking away. We'll never come down. We're going away, yeah, we're going away, you and me.
So for this particular look, I wanted to go for this Arizona desert kind of feel. I think it's a pretty interesting look for swimwear. I think it makes it look pretty interesting when, you have that kind of wasteland look, the Mad Max kind of vibe, where you have a lot of rusty colors. I think it makes it very interesting for a swimwear editorial because it's not your usual beach setup. So I think that was the main idea. And that's why I went for it originally. As I said, I think the only thing that I didn't anticipate was the wind, which was really irritating. I think in general Hawaii can be quite windy, and obviously that was the case here. However, I'm still really happy with how we got the shots. Amber styled herself. We got her in this leopard one piece first because I thought it would work really, really well with the colors. And then we just went for a simple black look as well because we wanted to keep it very nice and simple, considering that the rocks were giving so much texture, and I just wanted everything to blend in very nicely.
And the sun on my face in Hawaii.
So whenever I do photo shoots, I always try and make sure that I color match my model with her surroundings as much as possible, or that there's some connecting element of the swimwear with the surroundings. So for example, as you saw here, I was using loads of brown and earth tones as well as blacks to kind of connect my model into the surroundings. Her skin was also very nice and tanned, so that kind of matched with the background really, really well. And as you saw in my previous shoot with Elodie, I kind of did a similar thing where I matched the swimsuit with the blue water, and I think it just works really nicely. I feel like it creates a more consistent visual story. So whenever I shoot any swimwear editorials, I always want to go for that kind of setup because it will just make the images look so much more interesting. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this little behind the scenes. Let me know if you like this format of me showing you more than just one photo shoot. Have you learned stuff? Do you want to know more? Just comment down below if there's any questions you have, and make sure to follow everybody. I'm going to link everybody down below, and if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.
You know how much I hate sleeping alone. I can never make it on my own.